How about electric vehicles, though? Shane Mason's here, Director of Strategical, rather, a defence advisory firm, because yesterday the I newspaper had this story. The Times have picked it up again today. Defence firms reportedly warning staff not to connect their mobile phones to Chinese-made electric cars amid fears that sensitive national security data could be stolen. Struck me that this is a bigger story than we think. Shane, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm very well indeed. I mean, this is slightly worrying, I would have thought, for anyone who's got a Chinese-made electric car, because if they're capable of sort of, listening in on you and or, somehow disabling or taking information out of your phone if you're plugging it in, what else are they doing?
Well, I think it's a really telling move by China, because if we take a step back and we look at understanding why China and why electric vehicles. China, in particular, in 2017, introduced something called the National Intelligence Law.
Right.
And that requires any organizations or citizens in China verbatim to support, assist, and cooperate with state intelligence work. And even more worryingly, large firms operating in China must have a board position open to a member of the Chinese Communist Party to ensure that those companies are run in accordance with state policy. So China is a legitimate threat, and we're certainly moving towards a world where privacy is a new battleground. And that brings us on to the point around why electric vehicles. How many times do you now get into your car and it automatically picks up your music from whichever music app you use? How often does it read all your contacts? Even actually emails. You can actually go into cars these days and they have your emails on the screen. Now, that essentially means that our cars are becoming computers on wheels. And the more you attach your phone, and the phone, as we all know in this day and age, is an outsource of where you keep all your information.
Yeah.
By connecting your phone to Chinese vehicles, when they program all this software, they could be creating what's called back channels to send data back to China.
Yeah.
And hence the concerns that the defense companies in particular have raised.
And do you think that there's some of these companies then are looking for that sort of material? Because, I mean, presumably data is data. They will always make money from that in some way, shape or form. But in terms of sensitive stuff, sensitive information, do you think there are people in China sort of combing whatever it is they've got coming in to see what's there?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. There's an old saying that someone shared with me many years ago, and they said in the intelligence game, if Russia wanted to gather intelligence, let's say for example that imagine all your intelligence are grains of sand on a beach, and there's intelligence everywhere around you. A nation like Russia would send in a submarine and send sailors ashore and grab some of that sand, whereas China would just send a plane full of tourists and tell them to collect the sand for them.
Right.
So what that does is that gives mass harvesting. And it's very much a Chinese approach. And what they can do by collecting everyone's data, not just for targeted people such as executives and politicians and journalists like yourself, etc., they can understand patterns of life and they can calculate people's movements by doing it on a mass scale. So they will know the movements of people, and they will know how to, or when, and the best time to send a cyber attack, for example, for the most impact, because they'll understand where people are moving to, where they're moving from. They'll understand who their connections are. They can build networks, etc. So there is a legitimate threat that they're looking at targeted people and people in defense companies and businesses like BAE Systems and Rolls-Royce. Warning staff shows you how serious they are taking this threat, but also that there's a threat to us all as well on an individual level too, Mike.
Yeah, I can believe it. We had a call yesterday when we first mentioned this story from someone who said that their wife had put the car in for a service and got it back. The guy was working in the sort of the shop fixing it. Got told off by his manager because he said, by the way, you got to stop slagging off the customers. He's like, I didn't. And apparently something he said while he was in the car on his own, saying that, I've never seen such a filthy car or something like that, was recorded and played back to the customer when she picked the car up.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, we most of us have Bluetooth speakers in our cars, so there are speakers in cars. All they have to do is modify the software in order to do that, from a Chinese company. So when the supply chains, i.e. the companies which provide all the parts to build these vehicles, they're not as well managed, and they don't have the data security laws around, such as Western companies do as well. So you don't even really, in some respects, don't even need to plug a phone in. all you need to be able to do is just have loose lips in many respects as well. So and it's interesting that this has been picked up upon by individuals now too, and it's very easy to do from a technological standpoint. It's not the issue isn't technology, it's law and whether law allows that or not. And as we know, if we look at China with their national intelligence law, that certainly is the case.
It's amazing. It's a great area. Shane, really good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed. I'm sure we'll talk again. Shane Mason, Director of Strategical, their defence advisory company.